both of you use London's buses fairly regularly. Neil, you've campaigned on this issue in the past. How concerned are you by what you heard there?
I have. It's a point, actually, I've consistently raised with the Mayor, with the TfL Commissioner, with the Head of Safety at Transport for London, and the stories that we heard there from the bus drivers, I've heard and I've raised, the very hot cabs. There was a case last summer when we had the hot weather. A driver veered off the road through into the front of a block of flats in Islington, just, he was passing out from heat. I've raised the fact that when there are now large-scale 20-mile-an-hour speed limits coming in, which obviously the buses then have to move more slowly, the timetables aren't adjusted for that. So the drivers then are effectively under pressure to meet a timetable that was always tricky and is effectively now impossible. So there's a lot of pressure on the companies to do mileage and to keep the costs down. That pressure ends up on the driver in the cab, who has very little option other than just to try and do their best in some quite trying circumstances.
And you've raised this with Transport for London and the Mayor, and the response?
Well, the response, as you saw in the film, they always say safety is their top priority. So this is my observation, is actually on Transport for London rail, safety, I think, is the top priority. On buses, it just seems like the priority is keeping the buses moving and keeping costs down. The Mayor has had repeated years of fares freezes, which obviously eases cost pressures on Londoners, he would say. It puts a lot of financial pressure then on the buses, which are losing money to start with, to try and meet, a very low and squeezed cost. And as I say, at the end of that squeeze, there just seems to be a bus driver who is doing an increasingly impossible job.
TfL, as you say they take these issues of safety very seriously, and their operators have full reporting processes in place. I mean, some might argue that these drivers may have issues, but they might just be the minority of disaffected, unhappy bus drivers.
Well, let me give you an example. So I asked the Mayor two identical questions. What happens when a London Underground train goes through a red signal, and what happens when a bus goes through a red signal? And the answer on the trains was a really good, comprehensive, safety-first answer about how they escalate it, how they investigate it, how they take it very seriously. On the buses, TfL not only don't record it, but if information comes to them, for example, from cyclists filming on the road of a bus dangerously going through a red light, TfL don't even do anything with it. They just sort of pass it on to the bus company to do something with and wash their hands. I really would like to see TfL take bus safety as seriously as they take tube safety.
Obviously,